As the skull comes behind the ears, you can usually see it from ahead of it. You can usually see it coming into that on boys and men. You will see it coming in somewhere behind the ear, somewhere in there. So in general, I mean, they can have a straighter up line here, or they can have a real full line here, depending on the shape of their skull and their genetic type. So after this point, it's going to fall down, unless they've got some curl in it that they've created. But if it's natural, it's going to fall down. So you're going to find that rounding fall, which comes around that direction. I'm going to put the darks in here and the darks in here, because this is foreshortened. This is behind the ear, it's pulled back, it's hair that's underneath of the upper hair, so it's going to get darker there. This is a cave. This area right here, there's no light in this area. You get to make that really dark, so all of that area in there, if they have hanging hair, it's going to be dark, okay? We're going to outline the neck, and we're going to outline the ear, and we're going to have the hair falling in front of it. My favorite color for doing hair is always raw sienna. Raw sienna is a great in-between for a brown hair or a blonde. It's a great in-between. It's a dark for a blonde. So this is pretty much a raw sienna. I'm going to take it and put it into all of my, what I would call half tones, so the middle value areas. It's a great basic. I'm just going to go ahead and put it into these areas here. I could put it into that so that it mixes with that black to keep that dark color. And on this side, I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of it. It will be my highlight on that side. So I'll put that aside right here so I remember where it is. Now, as I come into this area here, remember I said that's going to be my high point. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to make, and I'm not going to make one solid stripe. I'm going to make it lines that will look natural. So I'm going to follow all of those. By the way, back here you should be having hair going backwards. So we're going to just kind of follow that, like that part starts going back that direction at that point. So I should put a little bit more gold in that area right there. All right, so I'm going to come in and now I'm going to start working. This is the top of the crown. This is closest to the light. This is foreshortened. It's way back there, so everything that's closer to her face should remain brighter, and we gradually get darker as we go back, because anything that's foreshortened, we go from the lightest light to gradual darkening no matter what value you're working with. So I'm just going to add this into areas that I feel I should be getting highlights in, and then I'm going to work it. See, this is harder than that is. So my lines stay with this, but they don't stay with that. That's why I can use different pastels for different things. I know that if I put this in, it's going to keep the line in there, and I can play with that line. If I put this in, it's not going to stay as a line unless I leave it as a line and I don't touch it afterwards. If I touch it, it's not going to end up being a line, okay? So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of brown as my darker value. I've lost my skin tone, I've lost my highlight. I'm going to go ahead and put this in as my darker value at the part. I'm going to put it in as a darker value as I go back in the hair, going towards the back. I'm going to keep it with lines. I have lost my highlight in that area, but that's okay. I'll go ahead and it looks like it goes behind the ear, so I'm going to go ahead and push that behind the ear. I'm going to, oh, sorry, saying sorry to her. Push that dark there, push it dark in here. As I come down into the tips, anything moving away from the light, the tips generally are lighter, but you can get a little bit, you can do the darkening underneath and then come back in with the light strokes on top. So it doesn't take much. I've got a lot of strands showing up in there. I can now come back with other colors to get the